What if you could use a multi-effects processor for guitar and bass for mixing and mastering? In this video, we're going to explore creative mixing possibilities by using the Flex Prime by HeadRush. This is Alex from Alex Pro Mix. Let's go! Hey guys, and welcome back to Alex Pro Mix. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Flex Prime, which is a guitar effects processor, but we're going to use it in a different way. We're going to use it for mixing and mastering. So let's take a look. This is the HeadRush Flex Prime, and by the description, this is a compact multi-effects processor for guitar and bass players. In this video, I'm not going to hook up my bass, I'm not going to hook up my guitar, but I have it hooked up to my rig. What's cool about this is that it comes with a user interface that's accessible from the web, which basically means I can patch it up to my rig, which I did, and I can manipulate it, create my own rigs, combine effects, and use it within my DAW. This is the mix that I'm working with. Let's have a listen.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages. I've had a stomach full of swords and knives, then I heard you're on your own again.
So the first thing that I want to do is I want to use the Flex multi-effects processor on the vocals. And this is the lead vocal stem.
I've been waiting for your call all night.
So let's see what we can do by using guitar effects processors on a vocal chain. All right, so the first thing I'll do is I will just insert the Flex hardware here on my inserts, and you're going to see that there's nothing displayed because this is a hardware insert in Pro Tools. I'm not using the guitar input, I'm using the effects return as a line level. So I'm going to click in, select no gate, click out, select default stereo. Cool. And now I can start building my rig. There's a couple of configurations that you have here as far as your routing, your signal path. I'm just going to choose the straight path. All right, so we have this inserted on the vocal chain. The first thing that I want to experiment with is try to pitch this vocal up or down, and let's see what results we get. So let's go to the category. This is model selector, and I'll search for pitch. And we have a couple options here. So the one that I'll go with is octaves. There's octaves and octaves up. So we'll go to octaves, click octave 1, and let's hit play.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages.
Hey, and that's not bad actually. Now, to create this effect, I would normally use something like auto-tune, change the format and the pitch, or I would use something like, what is that called? Little Alter Boy.
I've been waiting for your call.
So that's octave 1. Let's see what octave 2 sounds like. Yeah, that's too much.
A million messages. I've had a stomach full of swords and knives, then I heard.
Okay, cool. Not bad. Step 1's done. Let's see what we can do to kind of boost the tonality of this. So we have a number of options. Again, these are effects for guitars and bass, right? We have a treble booster, we have drive, we have greener, and all these are code names to reflect the actual model of the pedal that they're modeling. Let's try treble booster and choose default.
I've been
Whoa, okay, that's actually pretty cool. You get all this like shimmer and shine.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and
That's pretty sick. I think that's going to stand out in the mix. Let's go ahead and hear it in context.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages.
All right, so what can we do to actually enhance the stereo imaging? So we'll look under delay. There's a couple of options here again. And there's one here called stereo doubler. And again, I'm not getting into any like tweak parameters here. I'm just kind of loading up the default preset and then having that as my starting point. Let's solo the vocals.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages.
I think that's great. Lastly, let's see what we can do to compress it. So compressors, we have a couple of options here. Let's kind of, just experiment with them. Let's try the gray comp.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages.
Hey, that's cool. That sounds like a 1176 crushed 8:1 ratio, something that's very aggressive. But it's got its own sound. Let's see what happens when we play with the sustain.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages.
That's just got a ton of character. Let's go ahead and bypass this effect. So to bypass an effect, you double click on it and it's grayed out. And you can also click on this icon here. Let's try using a different compressor and then we'll A/B them in the mix. Let's try side comp. Again, default, hit play.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages I've had.
This is a little bit more moderate. Let's A-B them.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages I've had. A stomach full of swords and
I think the side comp is going to work better in the mix, but let's find out and hear what happens when we play it in context. Here we go.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages.
Okay, cool. So this is what I want to do. I have like this basic vocal chain that I like. It's experimental. It's creative. It's not your typical just EQ and compression, but we have an octave low. We have, what else? We have a treble booster, whatever that does. We have a stereo doubler to increase the stereo image, and then we have a compressor. So what I want to do is I don't want to necessarily insert this directly on the vocal track. I want to basically run it in parallel like an effects. So in Pro Tools, what I'll do is I will create a send. Let's go to bus and actually have one already. Hit the pre-fader, aux input, return that there, and assign that to my outputs, and then put the flex hardware insert there instead. So if I mute this, this is just the return of the hardware insert of the flex.
I've been waiting for your call all night.
And then this is the original dry.
I've been waiting for your call all night.
And I can blend the two in the mix, because that's what mixing is about.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages. I've had a stomach full of swords and knives, then I heard you're on your own again. How terrible the fall.
I like that. I like the texture. I like the saturation. I like how it sits in the mix. And the side comp worked better in the mix than the gray comp. The gray comp sounded more exciting. Probably would use it as an insert, on the actual channel. But the side comp worked better in the context of using this in parallel. So just to recap, we're using a multi-effects processor meant for guitars and for bass. And we're not using any instruments. We're using all the effects, all the digital effects via the web browser to create our awesome creative signal path, signal chain. And now the next step is to actually print that. Because whenever you're working with outboard gear, with outboard effects, unless you're going to leave the parameters alone, you want to print them. You want to print them back in the session. So for this, it's pretty simple. In Pro Tools, I'm going to select the track, which is this one right here. I'll call it Vocal Effects. And I'm going to go ahead and print that, commit that. I'm going to consolidate the clips, render the volume, and then after it's committed, I'm going to hide and make that track inactive. So let's go ahead and click OK. Okay, so that's done committing, and here we have the original vocal stem, and this is the vocal stem process with flex. Let's go ahead and hear that in the mix, and then I have a dedicated fader for it as well. Here we go, check it out.
I've been waiting for your call all night, and I've sent a million messages. I've had a stomach full of swords and knives, then I heard you're on your own again. How terrible the fall. I wish that I could ask, are you okay now? Is he in your hands? Damn if I'm not wrong, it's skipping all our plans.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, I wouldn't have come up with those results if I was just dabbling around with plugins. I wouldn't have thought about an octave and a pitch shifter and, these different parameters. And the fact that these effects are just kind of proprietary, if you will, to the Flex platform, to the other pedals as well. It's cool because it just gives you another set of coloration tools to use inside of your mix. All right, before we sign off, I'm curious to see what the Flex would sound like with a bass track, because after all, this is a guitar and bass effects processor. So here we have a bass stem. Okay, so we'll use the Flex as a hardware insert. We'll go here, and let's go ahead and scrap this. Click New. I don't want to save the rig, and I want to discard it. Now, I can go about creating my own bass rig by using amps and cabs, but what I want to do is I want to look for a bass preset or bass rig preset from the library. So let's hit play and select one of these. Wow. Now that is one volume jump. Let's go ahead and bring the rig volume down. that actually sounds really, really cool. I'm curious to see what this is going to sound like in the track. Let's go ahead and mute all the vocals. That is awesome. Now this is just using the default preset and adjusting the output of the rig. But here you can see what kind of amp you're using. In this case, it's a 69 Blue Line bass amp. And there's a cab right here with a dynamic microphone. I can switch that out, see what it sounds like on a different mic. But I like the way it sounds already, so I'm not going to mess with it. This is without. Check it out over here in the verse.
Inside my head, and let the monsters in a bottle come and tear me to shreds. Dance inside my head, and I'll pretend that you called and told me you would be home late.
All right, guys, so that's all the time that we have for this video. This is one way in which you guys can use or think about using effects processors that you may already have in your studio and your live performance gig, stuff that you use for production, and being able to repurpose it for mixing and for mastering. If this is your first time watching, my name is Alex here with Alex Pro Mix. I invite you to subscribe, like, share this video, and also leave me your feedback in the comments below. Thanks again so much for watching. Till next time. Peace.